we are and what our intent is.
You want me to do it?
Do it.
Okay. I'm Afifa, and we are the Woolly Bees. I think. Are we the Woolly Bees?
We're the Bully Bees. I mean,
Okay.
Woolly Bees
The Bully Bees. We are the Woolly Bees, and
actually double check to see whether the name was taken or not.
I checked.
Did you?
I think so, but I'll check again.
We're the Woolly Bees unless somebody else has trademarked that name.
I don't think somebody has, so I will double check. So we are the to be decided bees. And our intent for this podcast is to just have something fun and engaging where the two of us kind of riff off each other because we don't get to spend a lot of time together these days. And just kind of let you guys inside our relationship, and maybe on the way we'll teach you a little bit about yarn that you didn't know, and knitting and crochet and other stuff.
And who are you, Afifa?
Who am I? I am a knitter. I am a knitter who also designs stuff. I have over 90 designs on Ravelry. I'm in the process of transferring them all to my website. I also teach occasionally. I haven't been, obviously, because I haven't been traveling, and I don't think I could teach for 3 hours on Zoom. I wish I could, but I can't. Tell us about you, Kelly. Who are you?
And also, like, you work for Stitches, you do classes for Stitches.
I do.
As well as your own stuff, too. So,
yeah.
You got some chops, man.
I do. They're right here. Is that where chops live?
I actually, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah. I know.
I'm going to have to look that up. Maybe
Okay.
somebody will let us know.
I don't think I've ever used that expression before either. And I'm not sure I should use it again.
Let's find out where do your chops live? Are they lamb chops? Are they the ones that go on your face? I mean,
I have no idea.
Well, tell us about you. Tell us about you.
My name's Kelly. I'm the owner of the Royal Bee Yarn Company, which is a shop in Pacifica, California, where we specialize predominantly in natural fibers. And I also have my own yarn as well, which I just so happen to have here. I was totally ready. I was like ready for the plug. Oh, yeah. And Afifa designed the vest, which you can see behind her, in my woolen spun yarn.
Which is gorgeous.
And woolen spun means that the fibers are not combed in the same direction. And so it creates like all this super awesome texture. And then I have worsted spun yarn, not to be confused with worsted weight yarn because I have it in multiple weights. This one happens to be DK. And oh yeah, and it's your Mad Bee sweater as well. And Afifa also did a Mad Bee shawl, combining my yarn and Mad Tosh. And you can kind of see the difference.
Oh, you can totally see the difference.
You can? Okay, good. I wasn't sure like how well it was going to kind of like come up on the screen.
You can see like the texture on the woolen spun compared to the worsted spun.
And these are actually the same. They're natural dyes, and they're the same dyes, but this one has been kettle dyed, and this one has been hand dyed. So the absorption is different too. This has like a lot of tonality, whereas this one is a little bit more consistent, still with tonality.
Yeah.
There we go. There's my plug. So yeah.
I will say I have worked with Kelly's yarn, and it is delightful.
Oh, thanks. But
I love it. If I could just put it on the floor and lay down on top of it, I would.
I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased toward my yarn. I mean, in part because it's all made in the U.S. We source the fiber from a little farm, an eco-friendly farm, and then it's milled by a micro mill husband and wife team for the smoother base, and then a bigger mill for the woolen spun. But you know, it's nice to make something that, you know, I feel proud of. So I'm glad you like it too.
It's
I
nice to knit out of something that I know so much about and I know how passionate you are about it. So that really makes it extra special.
Thanks. I
So
carry
what are we
other
gonna
brands though too. Sorry. I can't
sorry.
I'm just, one big plug.
No, go for it.
But that's me. Yep. I'm a shop. Come visit me.
It's a great shop. You have to go there. It's amazing, wonderful, fantastic, homey,
Thanks.
cozy, lots of yarn.
And you might meet Afifa there.
I do try to be there as often as possible, which is not very often. So what I was saying when I rudely interrupted you was, what are we going to talk about today?
So today we were planning on sharing with you like the kind of topic that we just discussed. Well, okay, let me back up a little bit. So our intention with this is to share our knowledge and to hopefully help people make great choices when they're purchasing yarn and grow their skill set. And Afifa and I have really different skills. Some of them like overlap, but we come from different knowledge pools, which is awesome. And today we were thinking what we would do is talk about the difference between cotton and wool and why you shouldn't, can't, maybe you could, maybe you should substitute cotton with wool within a design. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But you just shared with me before we hit the record button what you had been doing today, which sounded amazing.
Oh, the cooking?
Yeah.
It's kind of chilly and I think it's going to start raining a little bit. So I threw some chili in the Instant Pot and I made a blueberry cobbler. And my house smells so good.
We were vegetarians before COVID. And my husband and I were vegetarians, and we've been meat cheating during COVID. And I've been using the pressure cooker to make these amazing ribs. And I think I might make those tonight.
I like ribs in the pressure cooker.
So
those are the best. You know what I made the other day with ribs?
What'd you make?
Borscht.
I don't even know what borscht is.
It's like it's a beet soup.
Oh.
So it's a Russian soup or stew, I guess. I used rib meat. This is turning into a cooking podcast, which is not really where we were supposed to be going. But anyways, it's like I used beef ribs, beets, and onions and broth, and that's kind of it.
Wow. Never tasted it. Is it very beety or meaty? Or meaty?
It's a combination of the two, and then you have it with like sour cream or creme fraiche on top. I'll send you a recipe for the pressure cooker.
Okay, I'll give it a try. I'm kind of obsessed with the pressure cooker. I'm also we bought a Cuisinart air fryer, so I'm excited to try that too.
How does that work?
I don't know because I haven't used it yet. Well, so we replaced our toaster oven with this really cool, like retro cream Cuisinart. It's a toaster oven, it bakes, and it's an air fryer. I haven't done anything with the air fryer. The only thing I've done so far is toast.
That sounds really cool. You'll have to tell me how it turns out.
I will love it. Should I talk about wool?
Or we can keep talking about food. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm starting to get hungry. I might have to take a little break and go get some cobbler. I'm just kidding. Yes, let's talk about wool and cotton.
Okay, so I'm going to geek out for a minute, and then Afifa will talk to you and tell you all the interesting things. I
don't know about that.
It's going to happen because I know myself. I'll probably go like, woo, down the little rabbit hole of geekiness. But just to talk about like the different properties of cotton versus wool. And the starting with the kind of average staple length, which is the length of the fibers. And it makes a really big difference in terms of the way in which the products feel in your hand.
Mhm.
Wool on average has like a 51 millimeter staple length. If any of you spin out there, you'll know that drafting, all wools are a little bit different, but drafting the wool is easier than drafting cotton by and large, because cotton has a shorter staple length.
Mhm.
Um, it's on average around 30 millimeters. So just at the very like essence of the fiber, one's plant-based, one's hair, it's just by the very nature of it, they're different, but they have so many things that they share in common. And like their durability, their warmth, their cooling properties. There's so many great things, and because they're both like natural fibers, which a lot of people love. And certainly in the shop, I get a lot of questions about substituting wool for cotton, where people have an aversion. They think they're allergic because it doesn't feel very good on their skin,
Mhm.
or they really are allergic and it makes them kind of like break out in hives, and so they
Mhm.
often want to substitute. So I get a lot of questions about that, and it's important to know kind of what works and what doesn't. But I want to kind of um, evangelize wool for a second, because
Okay.
wool is kind of, especially nowadays when we get such beautiful merino wool, which is so soft. It's not your great grandma's wool that was
Mhm.
scratchy and itchy. Merino, you can just get, and you can get other wools that are very soft as well. Cormo can be very soft after it's washed, but merino is one of the softest of the wool family, and it's why it's so incredibly popular. And it has all of these, as long as it's not superwash, it has all of these amazing natural properties. Like, for example, it is naturally antibacterial and antimicrobial.
Right.
It is phenomenal in terms of its insulating properties. There are certain places where they use wool, and even here in the United States, where they use wool for insulation, or it's always been a kind of traditional mattress property. But that's the reason why wool is so often used for outerwear, or even sportswear, because
Mhm.
it will suck that moisture out and it's eminently breathable. One of the things, though, that we typically think about in terms of wool is that it's something for winter, it's something to keep you warm. But it actually has a huge amount of breathability. And I think that if you were to try, say, for example, a little summer top in a lightweight wool, you would find that it was just as comfortable and just as airy as cotton.
Yeah, I
So
agree with that.
I'm a absolute wool lover. There's nothing that I like better than wool. The
Mhm.
other thing as an outerwear property is the durability. That's why so many, like, men's fine um, coats, jackets, sports coats are made out of wool because of its level of durability. That
Mhm.
has to do with the property of the staple length and all of those other elements combined. But it's also water resistant, not waterproof, but it's water
Right.
resistant. And I think that the statistic is that it can hold something like 30% of its weight in moisture, while
Mhm.
still retaining, I think, something like 80% of its insulating properties. So that's
Okay.
kind of, my big, like, I'm the cheerleader for wool. But cotton also has a ton of fabulous properties as well. It's why it's your underwear, or your undershirt, because it's so
Should I
incredibly,
check?
it's so incredibly soft.
Yeah.
And Pima cotton is one of the cottons that has a longer staple length. And so when it's spun into yarn, you get like this really beautiful kind of silky, sheeny property
Yeah. Yeah.
to it. So it is also, it's not as durable, but it is super great during the summer. It's not as great in the winter, but then you're assured that you're going to have some um, moisture wicking properties as well. So it's a great all around fiber as a wonderful plant-based fiber. People make socks out of it. It's a joy to work with if you enjoy working with cotton. But I personally feel that knitting with cotton is a little bit like knitting with string. It's honestly not my favorite,
Mhm.
and I hate going.
Because it doesn't have the give that wool does.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel great
Yeah.
against my skin in the same way. It does once it's made.
Right.
I love it once it's made,
Yeah.
but I don't love it. I don't love working with it in the same way that I love working with wool or some of the other natural fibers.
Mhm.
What? Let me talk. Since I probably bored half the people that might watch this to death. What?
I didn't know this stuff.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know about the staple length. I mean, I knew some of it, but a lot of this is new to me.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe it'll be
Yeah.
our. This is our first video blog, so to our non-existent audience, maybe
Yeah.
they'll really appreciate it too.
Or you just taught me something I didn't know, which is awesome.
As long as we're enjoying ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I just wanted to evangelize a little bit. I know that I'm going heavy on the wool, but I just can't help it. Look,
I
I
love wool.
tattoos. Like, I'm all about the wool. I just think it's one
Yeah.
of the most fabulous, durable, as long as, the sheep are treated well. They're like phenomenal animals, like especially in California where we have all these wildfires. We need the sheep as
Oh,
fire
yeah.
in terms of low grazing. They have a really small environmental impact on, it's a good thing. Anyway, I love wool. Over to Afifa.
Well, what you're talking about, having them for the fires, we had fire abatement goats and sheep. They come and they fence them out and they leave them on our hill and they got free.
Oh no.
So I had sheep in my front yard and I was all like, it's mine now. Yes, sheep in the front yard, sheep everywhere, goats running around. It was magical. I was just standing in the middle of the street with them running all around me, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I think you posted that.
I posted a video of it. Yeah, because there were so many of them, and there was one guy on an ATV trying to herd them all back where they were supposed to be.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I don't even know if he got them back. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Cotton versus wool. I like designing with both. I sometimes get bored designing with one or the other, so I try to go back and forth. I love working with blends. I was going to talk a little bit about substitution.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly and I were talking earlier.
What people will actually care about.
Right, yeah. I don't think that you can successfully substitute wool for a pattern that's written for cotton, but you could do it the other way around. Substitute cotton for a pattern that's written for wool.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, because the thing is that even if you get gauge, and I speak from experience. When I first started knitting, I was going to make this linen top. It's a linen cotton blend top. And it was a lace weight. Very nice.
Cotton blend top.
Perfect. And I got a lace weight wool to make it with instead. And I got gauge. I followed the pattern to a T, which I don't usually do. And it came out about a quarter of the size of the cotton linen one.
Oh, wow.
And I was baffled because I was very new to knitting and I was just like, what did I do wrong? And I took it to my local yarn shop and she was like, you can really substitute a wool for a pattern that's written for linen and cotton because as you knit, even if you get gauge initially, and if you're making a big flowy garment, it's just going to keep growing and growing as I'm knitting it because the gauge will loosen up. Whereas wool doesn't do that. it tends to be more secure. Is that's the right word? It's more elastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so it has more integrity than a cotton yarn is going to have. So when I'm writing a pattern, a pattern for cotton, I do typically tell people that not to use a wool for it. And I tend to do more drapey patterns in cottons. Whereas in wools, I'm going to do a slightly more fitted one because it'll be more flattering because it has that give, and the cotton's just going to kind of probably bulge out in places you don't want it to. So that's my 2 cents.
I think that I think you can substitute anything for anything.
You're wrong. Okay.
Probably am. I'm such a rebel.
Tell me why. Explain.
I think that if you get a fabric that you love
Mm-hmm.
and you really do a decent size swatch, really decent size swatch.
A big one. Yeah, not like a 4x4 inch.
No, like a
Yeah.
really decent size swatch.
Yeah.
And really understand, okay, how does this fabric feel? And maybe even wash one,
Mm-hmm.
see it, or, make one, wash it, make one, don't wash it.
Yeah.
See what the difference is. I do that all the time. I actually I brought some swatches just to show kind of like, what happens, pre-wash, after wash. And it really can, substantially change the property of, let's see this one. I want to try to show the difference. So yeah, this is a really good example. So this is cotton,
Mm-hmm.
and this is before it's washed,
Mm-hmm.
and this is after, and you can see the difference in the size.
Oh, wow.
It's grown.
Yeah.
So and I didn't block it, I didn't stretch it, I didn't do anything. But that's really just, actually I'm just basically reinforcing your point.
Right. Yeah. But you can substitute it any way you want, like you said.
I think I just lost that argument.
That's a little.
That's exactly what you're talking about, which is the fact that it's going to grow. So if you're doing something great, drapey, fabulous, because you know how cotton's going to behave.
Yeah, but if you're doing something drapey, it's not going to do the same thing in wool.
Exactly. It wouldn't do the same thing in wool.
Yeah.
I do think that if you really, really wanted cotton, if you had an aversion or whatever, then you could, you could try it, but just really understand the fabric that you're making, and that is what you are making is fabric, and that it is going to change. The properties that are going to change.
In that instance, like you could make one size smaller than you would normally wear, but you're going to want to do what you said and just test it in all sorts of different conditions before you actually go ahead with it.
This isn't the prettiest, but this is wool, and these are exactly the same size. One's
washed and unwashed.
Washed and unwashed. And I know that you can't feel. I wish you could feel the difference here. One, really feels a little, quite a bit of different. You can tell this has a lot of tooth and a lot of character to it in terms of the wool. This is a lamb's wool, which has a really interesting ply. So
it looks marled almost.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, I just thought I'd bring those little swatches just because I had them here.
But you actually did your homework. I didn't. So I get an F.
But you're right. So you get,
Yeah, I didn't need to do my homework because I knew I was going to be right. You know why? Because I'm such a know-it-all.
Well, and you design. I mean, you're really considering the fabric, right?
Yeah, I am. And I personally would not substitute. Like I would look at a pattern and say, okay, so this one calls for a cotton. I would substitute a cotton for a linen or for a cotton silk blend. Any plant-based fiber is going to behave very similarly, but just not for wool.
Look at my COVID bangs. I just
Are
realized
those your bangs?
those are my bangs. Look.
Oh my gosh, so cute. You should braid it.
I got distracted.
Kelly, you're growing horns. I'm sorry. Do you remember January of last year? This was shaved.
I do.
Look at it.
I know your hair grows so well.
This
And
is
I
like,
love the-
oh, I don't know. I kind of went like this. I was like, whoosh. You should see me in the morning when I get out of bed. It's like, so I guess we're done, right?
I guess we're done. I guess we just did our first vlog.
Yeah, it was, we can cut it down to however long, trying to make it not so boring that you all fall asleep. Unless that's what you want it for. So just let us know. Boring, not boring. What do you think?
Yeah, I could be like your sleep track. And then when you want to wake up, you could turn on Afifa's portion.
I'm not close to as interesting as you are.
Nonsense.
Stop it.
Stop it.
You stop it.
No, you stop it.
As you can tell, we really love each other.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So should we sign off? Should we say goodbye?
Yeah. Should
Okay.
we like figure out some like like
No.
Okay. I'll just...
I think we should just say bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, and our intention is that we're going to do this like once a month and come
Yeah.
up with, like, you know, different interesting things or things maybe that you know that you don't know.
Or if you want to hear about something, learn about something, let us know and we'll see what we can do.
Maybe your blueberry cobbler recipe.
My blueberry dump cake, as I call it. But yeah, do you want us to talk about food? Do you want us to talk about yarn? Do you want us to talk about what we like to eat while we knit? I mean, there's, you know, the world is our oyster.
Yeah.
So we're going to sign up. Bye.
Bye.